Fitting with many of the characters in Classroom of the Elite, Hirata Yosuke has a dark and troubling past which is not immediately visible. At first glance, he seems to be very outgoing, happy, and friendly, but his traumas become evident and even debilitating in the later volumes of the novel. His characterization includes many dark and full-on themes which brilliantly justifies his personality and thoughts. Anyways, without further ado,
life goes up and it goes down. I know my mom taught me that.
During his soliloquy in Volume 10, he talks about his experience in junior high. It is shown that he did not always have this overly kind, extremely friendly personality that he has during the main storyline. He used to be a lot more apathetic to violence. He would even distance himself from his dear friend who was being bullied, just so that he wouldn't become the next victim. It was not until he saw his dear friend attempt to commit suicide when everything about him would change. After that, the memory of his friend would forever be burnt into his mind, forever reminding himself of the consequences of inaction. He states that, "I'd say I was a lot like Ayano Koji. That's why I sometimes compare him to my old self." Here, he is referencing Ayano Koji's cold and distant demeanor, further emphasizing the change in his attitude, as the viewer, until this point, has only seen Hirata as the person he is now. Whilst this situation seemed to have caused Hirata to develop into a better person, into a pure, kind, and friendly person, his mindset is still not as straightforward as one might think.
Why we fool around so little and we keep track of time.
Hirata has a confusing sense of altruism. In the first line of his soliloquy, he states that, "My friends in my class are extremely important to me." However, in just the next line, he elaborates by adding, "Well, what I mean is, it's the class that's important to me." This seems like an awkward statement at first and doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but if you delve deeper into his words, it becomes obvious. At first, it may seem like he's saying that if you're not in his class, you're not important. Although that would contradict many of his actions, especially when he tries to build relationships with other classes, and especially his participation in the soccer club. It doesn't really fit with his character to think like this. Another possible explanation is that he disregards the wants and needs of any individual in the class over the well-being of the entire class. This makes a bit more sense, although it would still contradict his actions of protecting the minority, such as when he fought against Horikita's actions during the worst special exam in Volume 10. Horikita definitely had the interests of most of the class, meaning it wouldn't make sense for Hirata to be going against that. The best possible explanation I could think of is that what Hirata means is that the unity of the class is more important than the interests of anyone in the class. Simply put, he cares most about the environment of the class and not any particular person or even the majority of people. This would make sense as he was traumatized by the events of junior high. He wants to create an environment where everyone is welcome and where everyone works together, regardless of the efficiency. This would explain why he would go against the interests of so many, and why the Volume 10 special exam was so devastating.
Being so serious, idiots, thinking it will matter, keep me company.
We receive subtle signs that Hirata may not be completely mentally stable as early as Volume 3 or around episode 11 of the anime. We saw scenes of Hirata breaking down and clearly struggling as he witnessed his class slowly break apart. Had Ayano Koji not made an incredible move during the island special exam, we may have seen Hirata fall apart much earlier. After that point, aside from some subtle moments, Hirata was still mostly acting friendly and normal. It wasn't until Volume 10, during the worst special exam, when we see Hirata's mental state really deteriorate. The thing that Hirata struggles with the most, as stated in the previous section, is when his class turns against each other. The trauma from his junior high days was so great that as soon as he witnessed something that resembled bullying, when he saw that his own class were pointing fingers at each other, he broke down. The worst special exam, in simple terms, was a simple game where everyone would give out both criticism and praise votes in accordance with some rules. The person with the lowest score would be expelled. This exam was especially problematic because someone was always destined to be expelled. The only way to get through without an expulsion was to pay an impossibly large sum. In the end, someone had to be sacrificed. Horikita just shut up for a second. This was the line that would cause Hirata never to be able to lead the class again. Ayano Koji stated that those were the coldest and most intense words that we had ever heard come out of his mouth. However, Hirata's ideology was obvious. His hatred at this point was directed directly at the whole class. The way you think nothing of throwing your friends to the wolves is nauseating. As unexpected as this may have seemed to the reader, it was obvious that this would occur. There was never a way Hirata was going to survive this special exam with all of his morals. This exam asked for people to sacrifice each other. There was no other option. There was never a chance that the class was going to accept Hirata's ideals. Hirata's ideals were always destined to fail. It wouldn't be until several volumes later when Hirata manages to mostly recover from this situation. When he eventually comes back, Horikita had already taken the role of class leader, and Hirata would never again be able to regain his position as class leader. The story of Hirata vividly shows that a pure altruistic mentality is problematic, especially in the position he was in. It was impossible to survive at the school while saving everyone. Someone was always going to be sacrificed in order to benefit the greater good.